everyone, I'm Charlie and this is Flex with Hex. Today we have a follow along tutorial for focusing on our upper back. Please make sure you've done a full cardio warm up before doing any stretching. Here I'm just starting off with a few wiggles to loosen up my neck. Do whatever feels good. For this one, please make sure that the pressure is head to hands and not the hands placing pressure on the back of the neck. Taking a few light twists to warm up, nothing too strenuous, just doing whatever feels good for the body. Now we're just going to take some side stretch reps. I want you to make sure that the side is fully open and you're feeling it all along that side of your body. You don't have to bend that bottom arm, I just feel a bigger stretch there, but go to whatever your max is. Make sure you do the same on the other side. You don't need to rush anything, take it all at your own pace, and you know your own body, so listen to it. We're just going to get everything moving now in our shoulders by doing some rotations. This will help the mobility and help us to warm up a little bit more into those shoulders. And now change direction. You're going to need 2 yoga blocks for this next bit to help open up our chest and upper back. You can get these cheap enough anywhere, supermarkets, Amazon, most gyms do have them if that's accessible to you. We're going to place the top yoga block on its highest setting under our head and the second yoga block on the middle setting right across the middle of the back. So think across the shoulder blades, bra line, that's round about where you want it. Now you're just going to let your body weight relax into this position and arms overhead. Sometimes it does take a little bit of jiggling and readjusting with that yoga block, but don't worry about it, it's perfectly fine, you'll find where's comfortable. Then we're just going to do some reps of bringing the hands down to the hips and then back overhead. You want to be counting anywhere between 6 to 8 reps. Then we're going to bring our knees up, feet together and drop our legs into a butterfly pose just for an added hip opener. Then we're going to place our forearms on the floor and we're going to hinge from the elbow, opening up and closing down. Only go to your maximum capacity and never push past. Stretching should be uncomfortable but never painful. Again, we're going for anywhere between 6 to 8 reps. Next, we're going arms to the sky and I want you to pull down, think of sort of a chest press motion. And we're going for the same again, anywhere between 6 to 8 reps, making sure you feel that squeeze between the shoulder blades as if you're trying to clamp a pencil. Now we're going to go for a little bit of a deeper back bend and chest opener by lowering that top block onto the middle setting. Just take a minute to sink into that position and feel comfortable. As always with any stretch, you want to make sure you are breathing throughout. Now that we're comfortable with that yoga block on the lower setting, we're going to go back to our arms overhead to repeat that first set of reps, and again anywhere between 6 to 8. Here we have the opportunity for a bonus hip opener here with the butterfly pose, but again this is optional. Now we're going to repeat those elbow hinges on this lower setting, 6 to 8 reps. And yep, you've probably guessed what's coming next. It's the chest press reps, anywhere between 6 to 8. Now we're going to try move the top yoga block onto its flattest and lowest setting before putting our arms overhead. But this time we're going to keep our hands on the floor and brush down across the floor, keeping contact in what I describe as a shoulder press motion. Again, 6 to 8 reps. Now, only if you are comfortable, you have the option to remove that top block altogether and rest your head on the floor. We're going to go for arms overhead again and repeat that shoulder press motion, skimming the floor, keeping the contact and squeezing on the pull down. To come out of this, you can use your elbows on the floor, squeeze your abs and come up slowly so you don't go dizzy. We're done with the yoga blocks, so pop them to one side and we're just going to do some circles in cat-cow. We sometimes call this disco cat. Doing some rotations just to loosen up the spine where we've been sat on that block. Make sure you do both directions. I don't know if this has an official name, but in yoga we call this nosy cat. So I just want you to take some side bends as if you're trying to look at your tail if you were a cat. While we're on all fours, we're going to do some shoulder protractions and retractions. This isn't a press up, it's coming from the squeezing the shoulder blades together and then pushing away and rounding the back. And yep, anywhere between 6 to 8 reps. Now, those of you with a good ear might be able to hear my dog in the background. So in honour of him, we're going to go into puppy pose, arms forward, keep the right angle in the knees, and we're going to try lower our chest to the floor. Don't worry if you can't, you have the option of putting a block underneath your chest to bring the floor up to you. This is an active stretch, so we are pushing down at all times through our arms. Think about drawing the armpits down, the chest down, and remember to breathe. Now we're going to push up and roll forward, hips to the floor into a Sphinx pose. I want shoulders up, back and down, head up, squeeze and push into a cobra and lower. And again, shoulders up, back and down, up into a cobra, driving your hips down to the floor, squeezing the bum, and you can roll the heels in before pushing up to come out. If that was enough for you, feel free to repeat that again. But if you want a bit of an extra challenge, we're going to get the blocks and place them under each hand. The steps of the puppy pose are exactly the same, we are just keeping our hands elevated. Still drive down and try get your chest to the floor, and remember to breathe. Keep holding and breathing, keeping the gaze forward, which will help push our chin and chest towards the floor. To come out, push into the hands on the yoga blocks and roll forward again. We're going to repeat the steps for a cobra, so shoulders up, back and down, drive that rib along the floor, squeeze the glutes, drive the hips in and back. When you're at the top, if you want to roll the shoulders back again to make sure they are fully away from the ears, and lower. This time we're going to push up into a cobra and bring one hand more towards the middle, so then we can turn and do some rotations from that shoulder. So we're going to rotate back and forwards, back and forwards, and again repeat for 6 to 8 reps. You can either carry on straight to the other side by swapping hands, or you can lower, push back up, and then repeat on the other side. Make sure you're bringing that hand to the middle so you've got a bit more support and even distribution for your weight. We're going for 6 to 8 reps again. Make sure you're reaching fully up and over to get that full range. Then when you're done, for a release, we're going to push up and back into child's pose and just take a rest there. When you are ready and in your own time, we're going to move on to a puppy pose again. This time we're going to pop the block underneath our chin. The block's going to be on its lowest setting. Again, it might take some jiggling around to find the most comfortable spot. Remember to breathe and just sink into it at your own pace. Big deep breaths here to help you relax. I know relaxing, it probably isn't the right word, but you do want to fully relax and sink into that position. To come out, push your elbows down into the floor so you can roll up and over, back into your Sphinx pose. Option here for another child's pose, just to stretch out your back. In a counter pose, I like to come up onto fingertips here because I feel it more in my tight shoulders. For those of you that want a bit of an extra challenge and found that last one far too easy and you could relax a little bit too much, we're going to do the same again but pop the block onto the middle setting. Here you want to make sure your chin's in the right place because sometimes that block can flip a little bit. So just have a play around and see where feels right for you. Stretching out our neck and upper back can work wonders for our back bends, and you'll probably find you'll make lots of progress, especially if you're aiming for things like chest stands in the future. It's worth doing. As always, option for a counterbalance here in good old child's pose. For this next bit, you're going to want a resistance band. You don't want it to be too stretchy. And then we're going to set up our yoga blocks like a little ramp. So you want one on the flattest setting horizontally and then one propped up against it like so. And we're going to scoot our hips towards the bottom. And all this is going to do is support us in our cobra. We're going to fire up our hamstrings now with some leg lifts. And I want you to make sure your feet are flexed, which I know isn't a phrase you hear from me very often, but you will feel the difference. As always, we are going for around 8 reps. Switch sides, again making sure that foot is flexed and doing the same amount of reps that you did on the other side. We're going to repeat that again, but this time with both legs, making sure to squeeze at the top. If you can here, reach back and grab each ankle, kick into the hands and squeeze and try lift. Don't worry if you can't do it now, you'll be able to do it very soon if you keep up to your stretching. Repeat that a few times, squeeze and kick into the hands. If you can't reach, you've got the option here to use a yoga strap. So now grab that resistance band, we're going to loop it around the foot. This might take some jiggling. Again, you might want to flex your foot here just to stop it from pinging off. But we're going to pull the strap up and over. Then I want you to make sure that you are kicking into the strap. This isn't about working the hand closer to the foot, it's about getting that tension enough. So yes, you can roll back and get your head towards the foot, but I want you to be kicking into that resistance band. Making sure that you are perfectly even and training both sides. Then we're going to loop it around both feet and repeat it with both feet at the same time. I think my band's a little bit too stretchy for me, but walk your hands back, see where you feel the tension, and kick into that yoga band. It's not about creating a pretty shape, it's about getting that tension and really pushing in to activate those muscles. Now we're going to try grab the feet and see if we can rotate into a full bow pose. If you can, go back to grabbing your ankles and just push in like we did before. Here, I want palm up to the sky, in between the finger and thumb, elbow into the waist, and then drive it forwards. So you get the full rotation. I always say imagine your palms like a tea tray and you don't want to spill the tea. So again, palm to the ceiling, between finger and thumb, elbow in and rotate forwards. Now for the bonus challenge of trying to do both feet. So I do sort of one at a time and roll around, and then you want to kick into the hands, look up and really push into that pose. Push up and down, get a few reps. We're not going to our max yet. Then roll out. We're going to go into a lunge now to loosen up a little bit. So we're going to pass between the lunge and a runner's stretch just to get our legs waking up a little bit. Then we're going to take our resistance band and loop it around the back foot. Sling it over your shoulder. Sink further into that lunge, drive your arms up, remember to breathe and arch back. Again, this isn't about walking down, we just want that tension between the resistance bands and our body. Repeat again on the other side, and as always, remember to breathe. I'm going to try that first side again. Really sink into that lunge. Bring the resistance band up and over. Roll the shoulders back, extend the arms. And this time we are going to aim to go down the strap a little. Breathe in, sink in, breathe in. Now I want you to take both yoga blocks and push them up against the edge of the wall. We want your wrist in front, and we're going to push up into a bridge. From a bridge, I want you to lead from the hips, so push into a baby bridge first, squeeze and lift till you're already halfway up, then push into your full bridge or wheel pose. From here, to check our alignment, we want arms stacked over the wrists, so walk yourself in towards the wall, breathe in and push in chest over wrist. You might make contact with the wall, and remember to breathe. We're going to repeat that again, so wrists against the yoga block, push up and over, drive that chest over towards the wall, walk your feet in, adjust your hands if you need to, and really push and drive that chest over. Head back and breathe, breathe, breathe. Well done everyone, and thank you for coming to my first video. This was the bonus stretch I did for my stretch of the day, and I hope to see you again soon.